Are you ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Tool to Play presents Still Got Game with Derek D. Smooth Nolan and Joel Dude I Rock Albert.
This episode of Still Got Game is brought to you by ThinkGeek and the Craft Beer Club. Hey now, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Still Got Game episode 332. Still Got Game is the official podcast of ToolToPlay.com. I am, as always, Derek D. Smooth Nolan.
I am Joel Dude I Rock Albert.
And Tiffany Electrify Nolan will be joining us later from the news desk. What is going on, Joel Dude I Rock Albert, my friend?
Not much. Did we miss a week last week? I think we did, right?
We did. You were out house hunting.
Oh, yeah. Fuck. Still don't have a house, by the way.
Oh,
and the time is getting shorter.
Hunt, then.
Yes, the time is continuously getting shorter as time does. And yeah, still don't have a house. So I might be sleeping in my car for a while.
Sometimes that works. It's a real cost savings.
Yeah, it really is. Save a lot of money that way. It's our wedding plan. That's what we're doing.
Yes,
money.
Save money to spend on the other end. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that's basically what I've been doing for like the last 3 weeks, every goddamn day. So it's getting annoying, but that's been my day. Also playing video games though, more video games than normal, but we'll get to that.
You get a good balance then. So anyone that's going to complain that we were off last week, it had a really good reason. So
yeah, just didn't end up being a worthwhile reason.
Yes.
I never got a place to live. So
soon. All right, well, why don't we just jump right in the show proper. We'll start off with feedback from last week's show. Remember, if you want to leave us a voicemail, it will cut you off after a minute. Santa Claus comments. Absolutely love the insight last week in your discussion of Street Fighter V launching incomplete to ensure its presence at EVO. I hadn't thought of this angle at all, but damn, I think you guys hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, Hit is the one that actually brought that up to me, at least. I didn't even think of that, so I give props to Hit for that. But I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? That's really the only reason, unless, I mean, we already talked about it, but unless they just needed to get it out. But
yeah, it's a sad state of affairs, but
it really is.
It is what it is.
It really is. Yeah.
But we're glad that we could provide you that insight, Santa Claus. All right, DeMarco comments. Thanks for addressing the Street Fighter V controversy last episode. You guys picked apart the motivations and have really shown what's wrong with the fighting game community. So the FGC fighting game community. That's
I like that. There's a lot of I'm actually surprised there's this many comments for the one particular story that we're talking about, especially it being Street Fighter. I always feel like the fighting crowd is much smaller than I think it is, but in reality, I think it's quite large.
Way bigger.
Yeah, right. Like
it's the racing crowd. Like we always thought they were so small, but then they were huge.
Yeah, it's like I don't do it, so clearly no one else does it, and therefore, it's a tiny little subsection of the gamer community. But a lot of people are super adamant about this stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, totally.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Good feedback. Good shit. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Last but not least, Tatiana comments. I was recently at a podcast discovery party, and one of the guests that I didn't know brought a 5-minute clip of various outtakes from your show. There was a lot of laughing in the room, and needless to say, I subscribed on iTunes before I left the party. Thanks for putting this show out there.
I mean, is this a thing? This is a thing, right? Podcast party. This happens. This is
the first I've ever heard of a podcast discovery party.
Well, didn't we? What was that one comment like a couple months ago?
There was somebody that was at a party a couple months ago, right. and the guy had his iTunes library on shuffle, and our podcast just came on. But I don't consider that a podcast party. This sounds like the way that she wrote this out, that this is a party specifically to discover new podcasts. It says, I was recently at a podcast discovery party, and one of the guests that I didn't know brought a 5-minute clip of various. Maybe everybody brings.
It's like a book club for podcasts?
Yeah, and you share a podcast you like with other people, maybe? I don't...
I was going to say that this was really weird, but here's the thing. It's not as weird as going to a regular party, like the guy we were just talking about, and there's you're at a party, everyone's dancing, and all of a sudden, shuffle comes on, and it's like, hey now! And you're like... and we're just sitting there, with a beer in their hand, what the fuck is this, bro? Put some Rihanna on! I'm about to get my jam on! That never happens. So at least this is specific. I actually respect this more.
Yes. I am curious to know more about how this works though. So Tatiana, if you could explain what a podcast discovery party is, and
Please
let
do.
us
Yes.
know. We would love to follow up. We're glad that you're a new listener. But yeah, we're definitely curious as to how this process works, because maybe we'll go to podcast discovery parties and bring
No,
our
we
own
won't.
show.
I mean, we won't. It'll never happen. We're not. This is never going to happen. I know you're not going. I know I'm not going.
All
But
right.
I would love to know how this thing even and is it every? What I want to know is it like any podcast, or are you going to like a gaming specific podcast party?
Yes, that's true. Yeah. We need all the details. Give us
Yeah.
all the.
Yeah,
I know.
we'll even have you on the show. I don't care. It's fine with me.
Yeah, Hick complains about long feedback questions because he has to type them all up and shrink down the font. But if it takes you 2 paragraphs to explain what the fuck this is, go right ahead. It'll
It
shrink
probably.
that.
It sounds like it will. It sounds like it will. So,
But we're glad to have you on board, Tatiana.
totally.
All right. Well, if any of awesome feedback like that, give us a call, 773-527-2961, or email us at podcast@tooltoplay.com. And in site-related news, Jay's looking for a house. He's got nothing. I'm doing other stuff. I got nothing.
Nothing.
So we'll just slam right on over to what we're playing. Joel, Dude, I Rock Albert, what are you playing this week?
The Division. That's all I'm playing. Started out like a game that I didn't really like, and we'll probably talk about it in the after show because it has a lot of questions. But it's turning into one of my more favorited games. I'm loving it. Didn't think I would. There's problems, tons of them, I would say, but none of them that are so bad that it makes me want to quit the game. And there's enough stuff where even if there are bad things, right now the content feels decently meaty. But I'm in the grind phase, so as soon as the grind's over, then there's going to be nothing to do, just like every other MMO, and then I'll probably have a completely different attitude.
Yeah.
But for now, Division. That's what I'm playing.
All right. That's
What about you?
good for you. I just been playing Destiny. That's about it. I love Destiny. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. That's my review. Destiny. It's pretty good.
What are you? You're just playing the same.
Yeah, same raid over and over, and doing Crucible stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
Waiting for this announcement for what's coming next.
That's gonna happen. Totally
Yeah.
gonna happen soon.
So,
Soon, as in 3 months ago. Soon. Still not soon. Almost soon. Soon.
at this point, it really has to be soon. Otherwise, they're going to.
Oh, it's gotta be soon.
Yeah.
It's like
So
they've got the Division out, which is, and then they try to parallel the two. They are not similar in any way, so I want to say that straight up. But it's certainly taken a large chunk of the Division community, surprisingly so.
I
mean, they play
Division's
nothing.
taking a large point of the
Yes.
Destiny community.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I mean, they don't play the same at all. They're similar in the fact that they're both kind of MMO-ish, but other than that, I wouldn't even put them in the same realm. And
You got
yet,
third
if you
person,
go
first
to
person.
if you go to the Reddit Division area, it's all Destiny people. It's like the whole fucking crew. It's all Destiny people.
Weird.
So yeah, they got to do something. They got to do something.
Yeah. I hope
New kids on the block. So yeah. All right.
All right. Well, I guess on that, we'll hop on over the new releases. And since we only have one new release out this week, I'm going to cover the new releases as well that we missed out on last week. So first new release out last week is a multi-platform release, and it's Tom Clancy's The Division, out for the Xbox One, the PS4, and the PC. This is Ubisoft's long-awaited role-playing third-person shooter. The game's set in Manhattan during a weaponized smallpox outbreak. As you play through the game, you level up, you upgrade weapons, gear, skills, yada, 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 typical RPG style. In addition to the campaign, it also includes the Dark Zone, which is the game's PvP arena. It's getting solid reviews in the low 8s, but who knows? Jay's picked it up. He loves it. Hit's giving thumbs up. He loves it.
Yeah, have you ever played so I know why Hit loves it, because it's kind of got that Daisy-ish feel to it, I feel. Like it's like H1Z1 kind of, especially in the Dark Zone. Yeah, it's a hard game for me to recommend to people. I think a lot of people have said to me, do you like the game? Do you think I should buy it? And I'm not sure I would tell people to buy it, but I'm having the most fun I've had in a really long time. It's a weird thing, because it's like, I see the problems and I can see why if people played it, they'd be like, oh, this sucks. I see why you don't have it.
No.
It makes sense to me. And I wouldn't even necessarily recommend you get it. But if you're more of an MMO guy, that's I think the fine line is it's an MMO first and a shooter second, and Destiny is a shooter first and an MMO second. And that's a pretty large distinction.
But see, I've been on both sides of that coin.
I know.
I was the hardest of
I know.
hardcore MMO guys.
And that's the only reason, like, I think you're missing out is because that component of like the desire to get your stats just right and to get the exact, like the thing where Destiny really lacks is there's just not that many stats, right? You have like, don't have that many. There's like now hundreds of minuscule stats that you can tweak and you know, and there are classes kind of like, you know, there's no healer, tank, or DPS, but in Division there is. And there are these like light hybrids of those. You can be more of a healer. You can be more of a tank. You can be more of a DPS. So those are the things that I love that I've been doing for the last decade of my life gaming with the shooter component, which is the other thing I did for most of my life gaming. So it creates a pretty cool scenario there. But if you don't have friends to play with, I will say this, it is boring. So one thing about Division that Destiny I could just play by myself, have fun, whatever. Not as much with Division. But
so unless you got a group to roll with, it's not a.
I wouldn't. I mean, because Dark Zone, the whole idea is you're with a squad, and you can't do the PvP by yourself. You're just gonna die, and you really can't do the challenge mode stuff by yourself because like looking for group is just a bunch of idiots. You need people that you know that you can yell at and not feel bad about. That's what you need.
Nice. I love yelling at people.
Me too.
Yeah. Pro.
So yeah, go get it or don't.
All right.
That's my
strong statement there. Yeah. All right. Next new release out last week is also a multi-platform release, and it's Hitman, not to be confused with our Hitman. And that's out for the Xbox One, the PS4, and the PC. This is the sixth game in Square Enix's popular Hitman series, and the first one to be released episodically. They've adopted this strange release method in order to produce a better product, so they say, but to still get the game out there in some reasonable amount of time. So the Prologue and Paris locations are out now, with new locations coming each and every month after that. So one more part of the game each month on a regular schedule. You can either buy the whole game now and get all the updates free, or you can buy the intro pack and then buy them piecemeal, which obviously will cost you a little more in the long run. The game looks fantastic, it's getting decent reviews in the high 7s, but I haven't played a Hitman game in a while.
I can't even remember. I think it was like on the PlayStation.
Yes, that was
maybe
my last
PlayStation 2.
PS2, yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I got nothing wrong with it. I just, the stealthy fucking
slow stealth. Yeah.
Just kill me, dude.
Take forever to set it up.
Just kill me. It's
Get
just
in there,
the worst.
infiltrate, you're undercover, doing
Yeah, like people on the site I remember were super into like Splinter Cell 2 back in the day, and it was just like one of those games where like, you mean you're going to tell me I need 20 minutes to set up this one kill? You're out of your fucking mind.
I gotta hide. Like that's worse than a third-person hider. Like it's all hide.
Way worse.
Yes.
Way worse. Yeah, and like I said, I actually when I used to play them, I felt like they were fun because I think you could always do the run and gun with Hitman, which is the big thing that separates it. It's just that you can from the get-go, the game's not built to be played that way. You can play that way. But like you're not going to get the most out of it if you do. So I always was kind of like, why am I playing these games? I'm sure it's a good game.
Yeah,
I look at Hitman like I look at fucking what's the other thing Ubi does every goddamn day and a half?
Ghost Recon.
Yeah, Recon, and then the hack and slash one. Anyway, yeah, like it's just over and over and over again the same goddamn shit. I can't.
Yeah, understandable.
Yeah, I can't do it.
All right. Well, the next new release out that was out last week is also a multi-platform release, and it's WWE 2K16, out for the Xbox One, the PS4, the 3 Shitty, and the PS3. This is the 17th game in the WWE series, and the third since 2K picked up the rights from failed THQ, or pour out one for THQ. The 360 and the PS3 versions are essentially the same as last year with an updated roster. They've admitted all but said, it's exactly the same engine, everything, nothing's changed. The roster's updated. The real versions, meaning the Xbox One and PS4 versions, have actually seen some improvements to the game. There's no more loading screens at all between the entrances and the matches, and you can actually attack your opponent during your entrance and do all kinds of crazy shit like that. Also, you're now given a set number of reversals per match to help avoid the reversal spamming, the thing that makes these games unrealistic and not fun, where it's like, I reverse, you reverse, I reverse, you reverse, and that's just not fun. That's not fun for anybody. So the early review scores out there put this in the mid to high 7s, which is actually really good because last year's low 5s are a lot more abysmal. So if you're a wrestling person, you love the WWE, this is probably your one to rock and roll because this is pretty good shit.
No
no interest from me, but yeah. Not for us, but for those people. Those.
Yeah, I mean, again, whenever nowadays, whenever I see like 2K16 or like 2K32 or like, it's 17th game in the series. So if you've bought this before, you're going to buy it again. If you haven't bought it before, you're probably not going to buy it. If you weren't a WWE fan to begin with, and you have no interest in this game, but I wish I could develop a game like this. Like, I wish there was a niche that hasn't been capitalized on yet.
You just retap every year.
Just write my check. I'm like, yeah, man, for the next 3 decades, this is the game I'm making. And this is the only game I'm making. I'm going to maybe refresh the engine every 2 to 5 years, and then I'll do rosters every year, and then that's it.
That's all you have to do. Or even worse, just be like Street Fighter. They can go 12 years between iterations.
Same game.
Yes. And it's the same exact fucking game. It's been the same game for 30 years.
It's amazing. And everyone will buy it.
Yep. They only have to put out 5. Like, they don't even have to put out 1 every single year. There's no roster updates with real people.
Right. There's no roster. Right. Exactly. Like, they always add like the one character, like, oh, for some reason we have Sonic the Hedgehog in this version, and he's a playable character, and you're like, what? That makes no sense. You're like, I know, it's fucking retarded. And then they'll do it again in like 3 more years.
Yeah, Pac-Man versus Jason Voorhees, totally realistic. Totally. Yep, let's do it. Yes.
Exactly. Wow, the wrong business.
All right. Well, the last new release that's actually out this week is also a multi-platform release, and it's EA Sports UFC 2, and this is out for the Xbox One and the PS4. This is the follow-up to last year's debut of UFC games from Electronic Arts, because obviously that was something that we saw at the press conference a couple years ago. Big pickup for EA to pick up the UFC license. Despite last year's game looking great, there were lots of gameplay issues that people had trouble with, which is what EA focused on this time around. The main complaints were the ground and clinch combat, and that there weren't enough game modes in the game, both of which EA has addressed this year. The game looks great. It's getting solid reviews in the 8s, which is great for a game like this, and it's much better than last year's, which was getting 6s and 7s. So if you're a UFC person, you want a fighting game that's a little more realistic, a little less wrestling moves, a little more kicking ass, then that's the way to go.
Can we talk about who's on the cover?
Ronda Rousey. How they both lost?
Yeah.
Yes. So behind me here, I'll tilt my head.
Tilt your head a little bit here. The 2 biggest losers are on the cover of
there's nothing that makes Ronda Rousey a loser.
Yeah, there is. When she got kicked in the head at 1,000 miles an hour.
So Holly Holmes kicked her ass, but look at her. She's Ronda Rousey. Come on, check her out. Right? Am I right?
I'm just saying, you got 2 of the biggest losers on your cover. But hey, what are you gonna do?
It doesn't even have the right thing behind me. I'm tilting my head and I see I see the wrestling and not. Okay. No, there it is. Yep. Yeah, it was just a little delayed. Perfect. Yeah. All right.
That sort of thing. This is the irony, is that this game, we just made fun of WWE. Part 2, this thing's going on forever.
Yep.
They got this game. They're ready to go. It's going to be like another decade of this. So strap in.
Yep.
Enjoy.
Yes. Enjoy. All right, Jay. Well, on that, why don't we hop on over into gaming news? And Tiff, what's going on with you tonight? Welcome back.
Hey, guys. I'm back.
I know. This is nice.
Jay
gets a break.
Yeah. It's like the gang's all here. I know. You guys don't have to listen to Jay butcher the stories.
Oh, we get to listen to you butcher the stories.
I know.
Oh, very nice. All right. First story.
So I actually was hoping to see this as a what the fuck story, but I'm sure you guys will discuss what the fuck as related to this one as well. Wargaming and Disney join EA and Activision in vacating the E3 show floor, and this comes from Gamasutra. The trend of big game companies taking a pass on having a presence on the E3 show floor continues, as VentureBeat reports that both Disney and Wargaming will not have booths at the event this year. It's a notable trend, one that got its start back in January when Electronic Arts announced it was toning down its presence at E3 this year and relinquishing its booth space on the floor in favor of hosting its own event prior to the show. Earlier this month, Activision followed EA's lead by taking a pass on bringing its own booth to E3 in favor of showcasing its products via its partner events. Now the companies behind Disney Infinity and World of Tanks have confirmed they won't be investing in E3 booth space this year either. Here's my quote voice, so don't make me laugh, okay, guys? From a strictly business perspective, E3 just doesn't fit our current direction, a wargaming representative told VentureBeat. It's a show that is very centralized on retail product, and as free-to-play digital download gaming company, we've realized that while the show may be a good fit for lots of other publishers and developers, it's currently not a great fit for us. Presumably, this means developers attending the show may also miss out on seeing the now traditional tank tableau that Wargaming typically brings to the event as a marketing gimmick. While Disney representatives had not yet given a public statement about why they won't be bringing a booth to E3 this year, it's worth noting that this will be the first year that the company won't be releasing a new version of its flagship Disney Infinity game. So wow, like more bailing out at E3. What do you guys think? Like, what's going on? What impact is this going to have on E3 overall?
I'm going to make a prediction that E3 is going downtown. I don't think it's going to be around much longer in the same respect to what it traditionally was.
So are we going to see like a fallback to where it was the 5,000 people in an airport hangar? And
I do. I think that's the case. I mean, and it's not their fault. I don't think they're doing anything wrong, but it's so easy now to get your info out to gamers. Gamers are so savvy now when it comes to seeking out that information. They want it, and they want it fast. They don't want to wait anymore until E3. And it just makes so much more monetary sense for them to save that kind of money and then also dictate when they get to do their announcements and not be held by an arbitrary number that the industry uses or date that the industry uses to do these announcements. Yeah. It makes all the sense in the world to not do it anymore.
Well, the other part of it is that gaming media, we're not what we used to be. Now you can go on YouTube and there's some schmuck that'll play your game and get 2 million viewers versus the 100,000 reads you'll get on your article on Wired or GameSpot or whatever. Like that's a huge difference, and it costs them nothing to get that. All they have to do is send this schmuck that has a lot of fucking viewers the game, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean it's like no entry, no. There's really no checks or balances. There's a big downside, and again, not that the gaming industry had journalistic integrity. It usually people I think would laugh at even the concept of that, but there certainly were people within the industry that I think people trusted to write great articles and do great things with gaming. Yeah. That is all but evaporated and will probably continue to erode as these things happen. That's the sad part of this trend. Because like you said, no matter what, you could have a guy that's like 16 years old, knows nothing about anything, yells, stupid shit for 2 hours and people follow him for it. And that's the views that they need, and that gets the game out there. And that's good enough for the industry, for the actual publishers.
Meanwhile, game trailers shuts down. Like that's the counter side of the coin. Like it's
So it's bad. It's bad for us.
Yes.
Right. But it's not bad for gamers necessarily, and it's certainly not bad for publishers. It makes the most fiscal sense. Yep. It makes the most sense in terms of branding because they don't have to fight against another, 16 other companies, 15 other companies on a showroom floor during a week. It's whenever they want to do it, they can do it. And it makes a lot of sense. I mean, Blizzard's been doing it for years, and I feel like they're a great model for what that can be. If you have a game that's big enough, you can create your own community events and drive people even deeper into your IPs by doing that. The saddest part about this, which no one really mentions, is the indies don't really have as much say anymore. And E3 for a long time was really about getting your game out there to publishers. So media is one component of E3, and I think people only focus on that.
It's all the buyers that go to
E3.
But
the buyers, that's a big deal, and it's hard to demo games and get games out there and get people interested in games. And part of that, as a media side of things, is the media sees those games that are gems and they speak to them. Yeah. Now that piece can still happen. You have people like Total Biscuit and some of the really big, who I respect a lot. I think he's amazing. And he is in that sort of new wave of media, doing good though within that new wave of media. Yeah. And there are those ways to still do it. So I don't know if that even matters either. It's too hard to say. I mean, it's too hard to tell what is going to happen, but it's definitely feels like E3 is going to be winding down. I mean, I just don't see it.
I said it to Tiff that this may be, unfortunately, one of our last E3s. Like, if this trend continues, like, just picture the South Hall. When you walk in the South Hall in the front door, usually there's the giant EA booth, multi-floor, 6 booths wide. That's not going to be there. The back left-hand corner of the South Hall is usually the giant Activision booth, multiple floors, theaters, everything else. That's not going to be there. Over also to the left of that side is where Wargaming usually is. And between
huge,
and somewhere between Wargaming And Activision on that left side is the giant Disney booth. So that hall now has lost probably its 4 biggest booth space thing.
Absolutely.
And the biggest possible boost you can buy at E3, those 4 had. And now I'm sad for other reasons. Like, I love the Wargaming Party, which means there's not going to be a Wargaming Party. That's one of our favorites. And those guys are good people, and it's going to be sad. And hopefully, maybe it's like the Phoenix, like the last time this happened in the mid-2000s, where it shrunk down. E3's attendance dropped to 10,000, then to 5,000, and then we're back up last year at 56,000. So, maybe you got to tear it down and rebuild it to figure out the right way to do it. But I
just don't know anymore. I mean, before they did it themselves, which I always thought was stupid. Obviously, they agreed it was stupid and changed it. But now I'm just not so sure if there's a saving version of this. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I still also think they've spread themselves too thin. That's not EA's. That's not E3's fault. That's just the fault of the gaming community. There's too many goddamn things to go to.
Cons. Yep.
And it's another thing that dilutes the value of what it is.
So. And this one's all media and all buyers, no fans. And that's another thing they talk about is, do you make the Thursday a fan day? Do you so they have options. And I'm sure the ESA, although every time they're like, we understand why they're going and we love them still and we're all friends.
Yeah, they're scared.
But they're like, okay, what the fuck do we have to do to fix this?
Seriously.
So
it's a bummer, man. It's a huge bummer. It's going to be really interesting. I'm more pissed that I'm not going this year, simply because I want to see what the vibe is this year. I just can't fathom, with all these major players not being there, how that's really going to play out in terms of the excitement of going, not just the excitement of going, but the amount of news and information that you're actually going to get. It's going to be, I think, very condensed. So I don't know.
Well, I'm planning on asking this. We got our invites this past week to Packer's party, so I have RSVP'd to him. But I plan on asking him at his party what he thinks about this, because if there's one person that knows and the one person that's always right, it's Michael Pachter. He is literally a genius among geniuses, and he's probably one of the smartest guys in the industry. He always really forward-looking, always can. He says stuff that people think is totally outrageous, and then you fast forward a year or two, and all his shit comes true. He's like a soothsayer for the industry. So I can't wait to pick his brain about that.
Yeah, I'd like to hear what he has to say. It's going to be interesting. Yeah. All right, next story.
Palmer Luckey talked to why there's no Oculus Rift coming for Mac, and this comes from Joystick X Engadget. Oculus founder Palmer Luckey had some harsh words for Apple products when he spoke to Shack News at a recent Xbox event. When asked whether the company's forthcoming Rift VR headset will ever be compatible with the Mac OS, Luckey stated, "That is up to Apple. If they ever release a good computer, we will do it." Specifically, he was referring to Apple's general reticence in utilizing high-end GPUs in its products, which instead rely on Intel's chipset's integrated GPU capabilities. You can buy a $6,000 Mac Pro with the top-of-the-line AMD FirePro D700, and it still doesn't match our recommended specs, Luckey continued. So, if they prioritize higher-end GPUs, like they used to for a while back in the day, we'd love to support Mac, but right now, there's just not a single machine out there that supports it. In short, while the graphics on modern Macs are good enough for a majority of normal and even power user applications, these machines just aren't built to be gaming rigs, even if they are priced equivalently. After receiving a bunch of tweets accusing him of being a Mac hater, he tweeted that he has nothing against Macs, and uses a MacBook Pro. The simple fact that it doesn't have a strong enough GPU for VR. Got it? So, what do you guys think of this? Does the Mac really need VR?
No. This is the dumbest thing. I develop on a Mac. I have 2 Macs. I have a Mac at work. I love it. It's one of the best computers I've ever had. But I read this. I saw the tweets. I'm like, yeah. Why are people that have Macs even dreaming that they want to hook their VR system up to it? To play what exactly? Like the 6 games that you can play on a Mac? It's not for gaming. What's the big deal?
But they feel like they're being left out because VR, in theory, VR is not just for gaming. And that's the part I think they feel left out. That's why Facebook bought fucking Oculus, because
that's a misconception.
They envision this thing that's more than just gaming. Yeah.
Sure, but this is that's not what it is. It is a gaming.
No, right now it's only games. Now. Yes.
So to be a Mac user and be all huff puff because you can't use it for the thing that it is now because you want to use it for the thing that it's not currently is fucking asinine. Yeah. And this is the one thing about Mac users, and it's the same with PC, so I don't want to like take a side here, but I use both of them heavily. I have a crazy PC rig that I use for gaming. It's a monster. It's going to be awesome for the Rift. It's totally going to meet the specs. But I also do all my daytime job stuff on a MacBook Pro. I would never in a million years think to hook a VR system up to it, nor should I think that, because that's not really what it's there for. And when people buy Macs, like we used to have a buddy that would raid with us who had a Mac and they would complain all the time. I'd be like, well, yeah, because you're on a Mac. You're playing.
You've got integrated graphics.
Right. What is it exactly that you wanted to happen when you bought this thing? And that's the thing is I don't think anything he said was like Apple hating at all. It's a realistic concern, and one where spending the amount of money to try to support it makes almost no sense at all. And it's like, yeah, man, if you want to use the Oculus Rift, go buy a machine that will use the Oculus.
You do feel for these people, though. Some people cannot afford to go out and buy two PCs, not their Mac for development and a high-end gaming rig, and they've had to choose. Because really, you're choosing a low-end Mac at the same price as a high-end gaming rig. That's the Apple tax that goes with Macs to begin with.
So branding tax.
Yeah. So for those people, they had to make a choice, and they, for whatever reason, they had to choose Mac, and now they're kind of pissy. And technologically, there's nothing that they can do about it. And in theory, they should understand that. But at the same time, it's understandable that they don't.
I spent
$2,800 on this computer, and they say an $1,800 PC will run this. Well, you paid $2,800 for something different. You paid $700 of that for the logo.
Yeah. Yes. As you say, you paid $700 for branding and a really awesome case and a really great hardware design. And I don't want to push those things aside because I love my Mac. My MacBook Pro, I think, is like the sexiest machine. If a machine can be sexy, my MacBook Pro is, right? I want to sleep with it. I want to marry it. I'm getting married, and it's hard for me to decide MacBook Pro or my future wife. It's that hard because it's such an awesome device. But I also know that that's not what it's used for, and I would never in a million years be like shocked that this would happen, nor would I be shocked that he has the attitude he does. Because frankly, if you're a developer and the community is like yelling at you to develop on your platform, it's frustrating because you're like, look, guys, we would love to, but the hardware is actually shitty. And I can't make it any better because of that. So my attitude is if they get their shit together, then I'll do it. But until then, go buy a PC.
Maybe this is the impetus for Apple, too. Like for a while, like Apple's desktops allowed for different graphics card configurations. So maybe this is the point that now Apple has the wake-up call. And they say, you know what, maybe we will start selling our MacBooks with third-party graphics cards, high-end graphics cards, and maybe that's what it takes, but who knows?
Yeah.
All right, we'll keep our eyes open. We'll listen for Tim Cook's response. All right, next story!
So I'm actually going to go off the cuff here and ask a quick question. How much do you care about the next story? Because I think we have a better story to talk about.
Go ahead. I don't care. You can ditch this whole story. It doesn't mean shit to me.
I
like off book. Derek is too like whatever you want to do. Whatever story you want.
Story in the after show. That's when we were saving that for.
Do whatever you want.
Right, you go ahead, Tiff. You read
No,
the story.
I gotta listen to the boss here.
No, I'm not. We're gonna go off the cuff. Here's the dorm was returned to ESPN. Starts this week. Pay attention. All right, Tiff, bust out some other story.
All right. Microsoft will allow Xbox gamers to play against PS4 and PC players. And this comes from The Verge. Microsoft is announcing a big new feature for Xbox owners today, cross-network play. It's something the software giant has hinted at for years, and now it seems the reality of PS4, Xbox One, and PC players playing the same game together might finally happen. Developers building games on the Xbox One and Windows 10 will be able to support the feature, but it will require Sony and others to participate in order for games to be played across Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Rocket League will be one of the first titles to support the new cross-network play, and Microsoft notes there is an open invitation for other networks to participate as well, strongly hinting that Sony or other console manufacturers could enable gamers to play their friends regardless of what device they're using. If developers and console makers get behind Microsoft's support of cross-network play, then it will change the shape of games in the future. Currently, console gamers restricted to playing titles on the PlayStation Network or Xbox Live, and many pick an Xbox One or PS4 based on what their friends purchased. So, so what do you guys think of this story? What does this mean for the future of gaming?
So this is huge. Obviously, this is one of the biggest things that could ever happen to gaming, pretty much ever.
No one ever thought Microsoft would do this either.
No. And it makes a lot of sense. This is the problem. So this is one of those things where it's like, oh, it's awesome, but it's never going to happen. Sony, I cannot see them outside of games like Rocket League that really don't have major pull. Not to say that it's not popular, because it's very popular. But as an IP, it's not like a major brand. Outside of games like that, I don't see Sony even allowing it on their platform. And I could even see them going so far as to not allowing developers to do it then on their own with their own games while using their platform. It just creates too much of a one-sided scenario where after a while, so many games are hooked into this network of Microsoft's that it almost doesn't make as much sense to even be on a PS4. I don't see them doing that for that reason. And I also think it's a really, really, really bad idea when it comes to PC versus console.
Yeah, PC cannot be brought in with keyboard and mouse.
It will. The amount of skill required to do PC gaming versus, and I don't even want to say skill, the level of accuracy achievable, the level of skill that is achievable on a PC is so much higher than a console that if you ever put the two together in any sort of FPS scenario, it will be fucking terrible. Yeah, PC will always shit all over console.
We saw it with Shadowrun. So yeah. I bought Shadowrun on Xbox and PC. I was decent at Shadowrun on the Xbox. I fucking owned, like I was fucking MLG fucking pro on the PC because you're playing against console gamers with gamepads. Those two, I'm not sure. Maybe a cooperative game. It makes more sense.
It has to almost be the game that dictates whether or not to use the feature or not. It's really sad because I would love to personally, again, I have this really awesome rig, right? All of my friends play Xbox, so I end up getting the Division for fucking console. I'd rather kill myself than do this, but I have to because it's my only choice. I could be playing this game at 60 frames per second, smooth as butter, at 6 times the resolution with way more detail, but I can't because my cheap-ass friends don't play on a PC. Now, I would love the scenario where I could just buy Division on a PC and play with those guys, but I would dominate everyone else on my PC. And that is unfair. And by that reason, this idea, while a good one, seems like it has lots of holes. So
it does, but the Xbox to PlayStation 4 portion of this is
huge,
much more realistic. Like,
right.
Now, granted, it would never happen for a game like Destiny, where Sony has invested $500 million in the game. Like that part doesn't make sense,
right? Because that hurts them, right?
But for a game like, let's say, The Division, where no one company has bought into The Division and sucked Ubisoft's teats on this, like that game is just as easily playable on both, and that would be a perfect candidate for this. There's the things where now there's this whole new thing where I could be playing on Xbox and someone on PlayStation could have my same gamer tag, and coincidentally we could be in the same game. How does that work? How do you use the usernames? And so there's another layer to this that hasn't quite been addressed.
You just prefix it with the console version. Xbox D-Smooth, PS4 D-Smooth. I mean, it's really those things easy to solve, but like, I don't know. It's this weird feeling that I just feel like because it's not a universal platform, a man in the middle scenario, because it's Microsoft's platform, getting Sony to be a part of that to me sounds like I don't know.
I know what you're saying, but at the same time, it's Microsoft going out and saying, hey, you know what? We'll meet in the middle. We want you to be able to play with your friends anywhere. And then if Sony doesn't follow suit,
exactly.
they look like the dick.
Bad.
Yes, they're like, well, Sony's we want to let you play with your friends on PlayStation.
We were like ready to go. We were like, we gave them
Sony's saying no. Sony won't let you play with your buddies. Blame them. So I think it's a great way that this was put out, and it came out of fucking nowhere.
I know. Why is this even like? I'm worried that this isn't as big as it should be. As weird as that sounds, it's a huge deal, but I think it needs that like motivation from gamers to get frothy at the mouth over this and be like, we want it. This is amazing. This should be like on every publication everywhere. And really, it should be pushed from the PR side of Microsoft as heavily as possible, because then it would force Sony sort of to back them into a corner to be a part of this network.
I guess over the next week, we'll probably see how this because literally this news came out at noon today. But And gamers have been clamoring for this for years. Well, what do you mean I can't play with my friends? Oh, because they're on a different console. Like, people that are new to consoles don't understand this. They go out, they buy a console for Christmas or whatever, and all of a sudden they realize they can only play with some small subset of their friends because their friends are bifurcated. And this is exactly what all those people wanted the whole time. And Microsoft out of nowhere comes out and gives it to you, and now it's balls in Sony's court.
And what would be really, and this is the other thing that I really like about this, what they could do, and I've been thinking about it since the news came out in Destiny's vein, because you're right. Sony put too much money into it. There's no way that would ever be, player versus player. Understandable. But the one thing that was always missing from it, now I have a PS4 and I actually have Destiny on that as well. So I have 2 copies of Destiny for each system. I never played the PS4. If all they were doing was allowing me to transfer my characters from system to system, which in this scenario, they could at least do that. That would be huge for me even on that level, because then if my PS4 buddies do want to play, I could just bring my level, 30, 40, whatever plus Titan over there, play and raid over there. I'm not necessarily playing with my Xbox friends, but I'm bringing my content from network to network. Even if they start at that level, I think that's huge. The ability to move your content from place to place would be amazing. And I think it's almost a good thing for Sony in that respect, because then it's like, well, if I ever wanted to buy a PS4, I could at least say, well, now I don't have to re-level everything. If I decide midway through my gaming lifespan of this console, I want a PS4, cool.
Yeah, you're not fucking tied to the hip bit with it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a good thing, period. It's a good thing, period. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see how this shakes out over the next week, 3 weeks, but it is awesome news.
Total.
All right, next story.
We are on to this week's What the Fuck story. Some developers buying Steam user reviews on Fiverr. And this comes from Game Politics. Did I say that right? Fiverr?
Yep, Fiverr.
PC Games N has conducted an exhaustive investigation on how some questionable individuals are using Fiverr.com to sell Steam user reviews to developers. More importantly, the investigation has figured out just what games available on Steam have received more than 2 positive reviews from Fiverr.com reviewers. While the site discounts the inclusion of 2 major games, Super Hexagon and Counter-Strike Global Offensive, mostly due to their popularity already, it does identify the following games: Advert City, Apocalypse Hotel, Arebe World, Blood of Magic, Cat Simulator, Centauri Sector, D3D Gear, Egyptian Senate, Epic Character Generator, Epic Showdown, Garfield Kart, Gods vs. Humans, Home Design 3D, Hospital Manager, Moto Racer Collection, Nostradamus The Last Prophecy, Prehistoric, and Shiplord. That is quite a list there. I've actually heard of a few of those. Why does any of this matter? Because a majority of reviewers who wrote many of these Steam reviews and were contacted by PC Games N had no problem saying that they would provide a positive review. So
this is
what does this guy make you guys feel as like kind of journalists? And
this is fucked up. So this is basically, so for those of you who don't know what Fiverr is a site where anyone can sell anything for $5. So you're like, I'll record your answering machine message for $5. I'm a voiceover artist. I'll do this for $5. I'll do that for $5. I'll draw a graphic of you for $5. Here they're saying we'll positively rate your thing on Steam for $5. And if your game is shitty and you have a marketing budget, well, now you can take that marketing budget and say, instead of spending the $50,000 on marketing, divide $50,000 by $5. That's a lot of fucking positive reviews you can buy on Fiverr, and that's what pushes you up in Steam and gives you visibility and everything else. So it's scandalous, and the fact that when people PC Games N contacted these guys, they had no problem admitting, yeah, I'll give you a review for $5, no worries. But it kind of makes that ethics in game journalism seem kind of shitty.
Yeah, this is, to me, okay, this is one of those stories where when I read it, I was like, yeah, but I assumed that was happening anyway. No. And I know that's like a bad way to look at things, but when you look at the games, yeah, but it's when you look at the games that they found to be the ones that are doing this, these aren't AAA titles, right? They're not amazing games that everyone's clamoring for. Some of them on there have a decent following. Decent amount of people play the game, a good chunk. but not enough to like, it's not Ghost Recon, Tom Clancy, not any of those games.
No. Yeah.
So everyone wants to get their name out there somehow. And I always use this, like back in the day at Tool to Play, when we wanted to get further in what we were doing, we started looking at SEO and started looking at like, how do you get your name out there in a community of people that are so oversaturated with games, especially nowadays, more so than ever with all these indie companies? How do you do it? And the fact that they found this out and blew it up as like this big deal, in a weird way, I'm always like, nah, it's not really a big deal. I'm not surprised at all. People work so hard on these games. And yes, a lot of them probably are shitty. I don't know. But to know that they're doing this, and I know it's underhanded, I know it's bad, I know people might even give me flack for this, but I also understand it. I at least understand why. So, yeah, it's shitty. Is there a fake review? Probably. I don't know. Maybe. But if you buy a game based on a Steam review, just one Steam review, I think you probably should be doing more research on the games that you're buying. That's just my opinion. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe a review is all you need to get you, maybe a stranger telling you a game is great, giving it 5 stars, and one paragraph or less is enough. To me, probably not. I need a little bit more than that. So, yeah. I don't know.
Some people don't have that word of mouth thing like we have. They don't have friends that can say, "Hey, this is good, this is not." They have to count on those things, and in that case, they may or may not know that those reviews are tainted, and it's pretty. It's not like you said. I understand it, but I don't condone it.
Yeah, exactly. Totally understand it. Not a good thing. Probably shouldn't do it, but people work really hard and they want their shit to get out there. So, they'll do some dirty shit to do that.
Yep.
Period. Derek, what do you think about the story?
Jay, the story has me saying, what the fuck? And on that, we'll hop on over to the mailbag and voicemails. Our good old friend Altius asks, I'll keep it short this week since I'm assuming that you're tangentially... Yeah. I'll keep it short this week since I'm assuming you are tangentially covering this in the news. What do you think will be the future of E3? Well, we touched on this briefly, but we can pontificate. I don't know. I envision a world where there's always an E3, but I don't know how we get back to always having an E3.
Yeah. The one thing I will say is I think E3, no matter what, will exist in some form for a fairly long period of time. I don't see them just shuttering doors.
Oh, no.
And if you want to use an example, you always can go back to the year, early 2000s when they did purposefully shut it down, so to speak, and really get it only to like 5,000 plus people. It's possible that I'll see that again. In fact, I don't know. A part of me has always thought E3 is too big. And I remember early on when we first started getting invited, I was even thinking to myself, like, we shouldn't be getting invited. And we were. But when we got bigger, then I felt like, yeah, we should. We deserve it. Now I don't know why I'm not getting invited, right? So it's weird that way. But at the same time, like, it lost what it originally was even, years and years ago, which was really media and buyers. And again, the buyers was a really important part to sell their game and get their wares out there. That part may stick around for a while. I just don't think it'll ever be a huge megalithic giant beast anymore.
So do you think it becomes more like the GameStop manager show where basically that whole GameStop convention is like a mini E3 where they take their games and they pitch them to GameStop.
Right.
You're going to sell our game. And maybe that's what it becomes, is just a convention to sell your games and not for media coverage, because media is changing and media is not traditional. Yeah. It's not print. It's not, blogs. It's not all this stuff. It's some Joe Schmo playing your game and getting the views, getting the eyes on it. So,
and the sad thing about it is, in my mind, at least, and I could be totally wrong because I don't know the financials behind it, obviously. But they put on these booths and these shows that, from my perspective, they're unreal. If anyone's ever been to E3, they're crazy, right? And I think that you can have an E3 where all of these companies are present, but it doesn't necessarily need to cost that much. It doesn't necessarily need to be laser beams and chicks with giant tits and fucking free shit. And it can be a scenario where you are showing off your game and your game is the star of the show once again, and you don't need to blow $4 million on a booth. It seems insane to blow that kind of money on a booth, right?
Like maybe everybody just has a conference room where they show off their thing. Yeah,
sure. You know, like a regular, what you would consider a normal sort of conference that you would go to. People on stage talking about their game, showing off some stuff. That might be then where monetarily it makes sense, where they can do some big announcements. But in terms of like how big it's gotten, it's a circus.
Oh, some of these booths are insane. Like these booths cost more than people's homes.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'm not exaggerating that we have been told that some of these booths are 4 million plus, 10 million plus a piece, right? Yep. For a booth. So you put that into perspective, like what is the value after that? That kind of money, like Derek said, you could get reach that is greater than that by just putting something on YouTube. So why in God's name would you spend that kind of money on a booth when you could really spend that money and put it back into your company and actually build a better game? So, you know, like these marketing budgets, when you hear like Call of Duty costs $200 to make and they spent $300 million on marketing, like, whoa, that's...
There's so many of these industries are ass backwards. The movie industry is the same. You could make a movie for $6 million, like super small budget, and you still have to spend $20 million to market it. So now you need to make $26 million to break even. Like we need to get to the point where you're not marketing your thing for more than it costs to make. You need to make it and get it out there, and you shouldn't have to spend all this money on that. And I think that's what the gaming industry is finally discovering, that the movie industry is slowly discovering, is that, you know what, if you build it, they will come. And I think that's part of the problem. But it's sad because I love the spectacle. That's the thing I love about it.
Yeah, it's fun. I know. It's like the circus is what makes it a fun place to go. Like, everyone wants to go to a circus. You know, so.
And forget the booths alone. Like all these guys then come over the top and they have parties and everything. Like imagine the cost of what Wargaming did every year. Wargaming, a free-to-play game, came to E3, one of the biggest booths. They bring in fucking tanks from Russia. They bring them over and spill them out all over the place. Then they throw a giant fucking party that's for the money that's involved in this is you can't even comprehend the amount of money that's spent at these things. It's sad, but yeah. There's going to be some sea change here. Something's going to change, and we're going to see some new form of E3, and it may be better, it may be worse, but I don't know. Either way, I'm going to miss Pachter's part, because Pachter's party is the best part of the whole thing.
And I think those things could be around. Like those things can exist even without an E3. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a day of gamers to get together and do what they do in the industry, an industry-wide, event that isn't necessarily like this giant spectacle that it is now. I can see that being a thing and continuing on. But as for E3, I just, in its current form, I think this is a slow but steady decrease in the current size.
Yeah,
that's all.
Now we'll see what happens. Yeah, thanks, Altius, for making us think about that again. All right, if any of you guys are awesome shit like Altius did, give us a call, 773-527-2961. Email us at podcast@tooltoplay.com. You can also comment this episode thread on the Tool to Play homepage. And sponsors. Remember, by supporting our sponsors, you help support Still Got Game. ThinkGeek. Nutshell. You're buying something at ThinkGeek, first go to tooltoplay.com/geek and buy it there. Helps us out. You're getting the same shit. You're getting the best possible deals. No extra work. tooltoplay.com/geek. The Craft Beer Club. You want to get yourself a beer of the month subscription. You want to get somebody else, a loved one, a friend, your dad. The easiest way to do that is the Craft Beer Club. They curate the beers. They pick them and choose them each month. You can go 1 month. You can go 3 months. You can go a year. It doesn't matter what the subscription length is. Go to tooltoplay.com/beer. Order it through there. It helps the show out. So tooltoplay.com/geek, tooltoplay.com/beer. Help us out. We'll help you out. And if you want to sponsor the show, give us a call, 773-527-2961. Email us, podcast@tooltoplay.com. You tell us what you're selling. We'll tell you you're going to pay us. We'll sell it. You pay us. Boom. Done. Twitter us up. You can find everything Tool to Play related at twitter.com/tooltoplay. Everything podcast related at twitter.com/still_got_game. I, king of the fucking internet, got everything that's fucking holy at twitter.com/Derek Nolan.
You can find me at twitter.com/dude I rock.
Facebook the fuck out of us. Facebook.com/tooltoplay. Facebook.com/Derek Nolan.
Facebook.com/DudeRock.
I probably should have said Twitter.com/Electrify and Facebook.com/Tiff Nolan. We have a YouTube channel, YouTube.com/tooltoplay. That is where Tool to Play puts all of our archive video content, whether it's this show, whether it's Hits Motherfucking Hits, which is Hit just sent out an email to the group of us tonight talking about the return of Hits Quick Hits. I believe he's planning on something on Friday night, I think he was saying. So everybody keep your eyes open on Hits Twitter, i6Hitman. You can message him there, DM him, follow him. But I think Friday, Quick Hits is coming back. So you can also email him. I'll give you his email address in the after show. But he will let you know exactly when he's going to be online with Hits Quick Hits. But all of that archive video content shows up on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/tooltoplay. Please rate and review the show in iTunes. We need some 5-star reviews. Give us 5 stars. Write a little something nice. It helps us out. Helps you out. And if we feature a review here in the show, which I did not tonight, but when we do, you're in the drawing for a prize. So definitely do it up. 5 stars. Write something nice. We also have a Twitch channel, twitch.tv/tooltoplay. That is where Tool to Play does all of its live broadcasting, except when Hits a commie and does it on his own Watchtower Games channel. But normally, all the live content goes on the twitch.tv/tooltoplay channel. So go there. We have 2 buttons at the bottom. One's follow, one's subscribe. Definitely follow us. And if you can, subscribe, because it's very little money, and that's the most direct way to support Tool to Play. So go there, hit the subscribe button, help us out. And before we wrap up, I want to remind you all, you can join us each and every Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, twitch.tv/tooltoplay. And on that, why don't we wrap this fucking awesome episode up? I am Derek D. Smooth Nolan.
And I am Joel Dude I Rock Albert.
Cross-Platform Podcast.